Have you ever wondered why a real man ends up falling in love with a woman? Many people think it's because of her beauty, social status, or even the way she dresses. But the truth is that deep down, there are only two main reasons that explain why a man truly gives his heart away. And here's the secret. When you understand these two reasons, you begin to see much more clearly how the male mind works. Suddenly, his behavior is no longer confusing. You begin to understand why he approaches you, why he pulls away, and most importantly, what makes him choose to stay. In this video, I'm not going to confuse you with complicated explanations. We'll get straight to the point in a simple and clear way, almost as if we were having a chat. And in the end, you'll not only come away with more knowledge, but with a practical view of how to apply it in your life. Now, before I reveal what these two reasons are, let me set the stage. Because men don't think or act like women when it comes to love. The way they fall in love is very different. For most, it's not just about what they see, but how they feel when they're with someone. And here's something important. Men don't fall in love for many reasons, but for a few strong ones. Contrary to what it may seem, they are not hunting for perfection. They are not looking for the most beautiful woman in the world, nor the one who has her whole life organized. The male heart is simpler than that, but also deeper. What I'm going to show you today is that behind all this confusion, there are only two major triggers that awaken true love. And when these two are activated, no matter the age, appearance, or life story, a man feels something different, something that binds him to you in a way that even he doesn't understand. But don't worry, it has nothing to do with cheap tricks, manipulation, or pretending to be someone you're not. What I'm going to show you is based on psychology, human behavior, and what really touches the essence of a man. So, if you've ever been frustrated trying to understand why he seemed interested and then disappeared, or if you've ever wondered why some men give themselves away quickly while others never open up, stay with me until the end, because these two reasons are the key to deciphering the male mind, and even more, to learning how to create a real connection. And pay attention, I'm going to reveal each reason separately. First, the most obvious one, but one that many people overlook. Then the second, the most powerful of all, which will make you look back and think, now it all makes sense. To understand why men fall in love for only two reasons, we first need to delve a little into the male mind. And I guarantee, once you understand this, you'll stop misinterpreting the signs and start seeing his behavior in a much simpler way. The first point is that men don't love in the same way women do. While most women value communication, details, and emotional connection from the beginning, men tend to be more direct and practical. He doesn't analyze every word, but rather what he is experiencing at that moment. In other words, men don't spend hours thinking, does she like me? Are we compatible? Will it work out between us? What he does is more instinctive. He observes how he feels when he is with you. This detail changes everything. For men, love is much more connected to the feeling you awaken in him than to the qualities you possess. This means that he may be in front of the most beautiful woman in the world, but if she doesn't make him feel good about himself, he's unlikely to fall in love. On the other hand, an ordinary woman without trying to be perfect can deeply win a man over if she knows how to hit the right notes in the male mind. Another essential point, men have a natural resistance to showing weakness. From an early age, they are taught to be strong, not to show insecurity, to always appear in control. And that is exactly why love, for them, becomes something rare and valuable. When a man allows himself to fall in love, it means that you have managed to break through barriers that most never come close to breaking. That's why I say, men don't fall in love every day. They may be interested, they may feel attraction, they may even be enchanted for a while. But the true feeling, the one that makes him really give himself over, only happens at very specific moments. And those moments are linked to the two reasons we'll reveal shortly. Here comes another point of male psychology, the desire to be recognized. Men carry within themselves the need to feel that they are valued, that they are important, that they play a fundamental role in someone's life. They may even pretend they don't care. But deep down, every man seeks confirmation that he is being seen, respected, and desired. And when this need is fed in the right way, a connection is born that can grow into true love. But be careful. This does not mean that you should flatter or negate yourself to please him. In fact, the secret is much simpler. What really moves men is authenticity. It is the feeling of being in front of someone who does not force anything, but who naturally awakens in them the desire to stay. Now, if you observe, you will notice a pattern. Men may like many women. They may find several attractive. They may date different people, but truly fall in love, then the list gets short. And the reason for this is that only two specific forces can break through the barriers they put up around their hearts. In a moment, I'll show you the first of these forces. But first, it's important for you to understand. When a man begins to feel something real, it's not just about you. It's about how you make him see himself. And that changes everything, because it shows that male love is linked to identity, pride, and a sense of belonging. So, if you ever thought you were doing something wrong because he didn't fall in love, understand this. It's not about doing more or less. It's about hitting the right notes. And that's exactly what we're going to start discovering in the next section, when I reveal the first reason why a man truly falls in love. The time has come to reveal the first reason. And maybe you've felt this at some point in your life, but never been able to put it into words. The first reason a real man falls in love is this: the way you make him feel like a hero. It may seem too simple, but that's exactly it. Men fall deeply in love when they realize that by your side they can be useful, important, protective, when they feel they have a special role in your life, something that no one else could fill. This doesn't mean you have to act fragile or incapable. It's not about depending on him for everything. What really touches a man is feeling that he is important in what really matters. It can be something small, like asking for help with a complicated task, or something bigger like trusting him to make an important decision. When a man realizes that he is the chosen one to be by your side, when he notices that you look at him with respect and confidence, a strength is born within him that goes far beyond attraction. It's as if the deepest instinct in him awakens the desire to protect, to care for, and to be present. And that's exactly where love begins to be built. Think about it. Why do so many men walk away from relationships where they don't feel valued? Because deep down, they're not just looking for companionship. They want a place where they can feel like real men. And when they find that, they don't want to lose it. And here's an important secret. Men don't fall in love with perfect women, but with those who awaken in them the desire to be better. When he feels that you believe in him, that you trust his potential, that you see qualities that he himself often forgets he has, that's when his heart opens up. Perhaps you've experienced this in previous relationships. That man who seemed distant from everyone else, but who was attentive, generous, and even romantic when he was with you. This happens because you activated that instinct. You made him feel like a hero, and that completely changes the way he sees the relationship. Of course, this does not mean that you should put him on a pedestal or forget your own values. Quite the contrary. Men can tell when someone is being fake or forced. What really touches a man is authenticity, when you truly value the good things he does. And do you know what the consequence of this is? A man who feels like a hero by your side not only falls in love, but also gives himself to you. He starts to see you as a priority, as someone who deserves the best of him. And that for men is something very rare. So keep this in mind. The first reason men fall in love is because you awaken in them the feeling of being unique, needed, and capable. This is the first trigger, the first key that opens the door to true love. In the next section, I will bring real stories and examples to show how this happens in everyday life. Because understanding is one thing, but seeing it in practice opens your eyes even more. Now that you know that the first reason is to make a man feel like a hero by your side, let's make this more concrete. Because talking about theory is one thing, but seeing it happen in practice is totally different. Imagine this scene. A couple is at a party and the woman asks her partner for help with something seemingly simple, like opening a difficult bottle or carrying a heavy box. He solves it in seconds, and she looks at him with gratitude, as if only he were capable of handling it. It may seem trivial, but for the man that moment is very powerful. He doesn't fall in love because he opened the bottle. He falls in love because he felt useful, recognized, and special to her. Another example. A man is going through problems at work, unsure of his choices. Many people around him criticize him, but the woman looks him in the eye and says, "I trust you. I know you'll figure it out because you always do." These words, spoken sincerely, awaken a strength in him that was hidden. What's more, they create a deep emotional bond. He begins to associate this woman with feelings of hope, motivation, and strength. And that is exactly what fuels true love. Now think of another scenario. A man who grew up in a difficult home, where he was rarely praised or recognized. He got used to thinking he had to prove all the time that he was good enough. When he meets a woman who sees beyond appearances and values even his small achievements, he feels something he has never felt before. The feeling of being complete. It is not her beauty that wins him over, nor the way she dresses. It is the way she makes him believe that by her side, he can be the best version of himself. These situations reveal a truth that almost no one notices. Men fall in love with the emotional experience they have with someone. They may say they value appearance, intelligence, or friendliness, but deep down, what keeps them is feeling that they become greater, stronger, and more confident when they are with you. And realize, this does not require great effort or complicated plans. It's not about devising strategies to impress, but rather acting naturally and authentically. A simple, "Thank you, you helped me a lot," can mean more to him than a grand gesture made without sincerity. That's why so many men say they fell in love with the little things. They say it wasn't a kiss or a gift or striking looks. It was the way she smiled genuinely when he made a silly joke. It was the way she trusted him in a moment of insecurity. It was the look of admiration when he managed to solve something simple. These small situations are actually huge for the male heart. And maybe you realize now, when he feels like a hero by your side, it's not just a passing impulse. It's a silent process that grows inside him until he realizes he can no longer imagine life without you. That's the power of the first reason. It seems simple, but it's transformative. And the more you understand how this appears in everyday life, the easier it will be to notice when a man is really falling in love. In the next section, we'll move on to the second reason, the most powerful of all, the one that will make you understand once and for all why some men stay, while others simply walk away. Now we come to the most important point. If the first reason is when a man feels like a hero by your side, the second is even deeper. It not only stirs his instincts, but also his heart, his soul, and his most fragile parts. The second reason men fall in love is when you make him feel accepted for who he really is. This is the key that separates a passing infatuation from true love. You see, many men spend their lives hiding parts of themselves. They show the strong, confident, and secure version. But behind this facade lies the fear of not being good enough, the worry of disappointing others, and the insecurity of not living up to expectations. And when a man finds someone who doesn't try to change him all the time, who doesn't judge him for his mistakes, but accepts him with his flaws, defects, and vulnerabilities, he feels something he can't find anywhere else. That's when his heart truly opens up. Have you ever noticed how some men seem to relax around certain women? They let down their guard, talk about things they've never told anyone, share their fears and secret dreams. This is because with her, he doesn't have to be perfect. He can simply be human. And this feeling of acceptance is so rare and precious that it turns into love. Of course, accepting does not mean tolerating disrespect or bad behavior. It is not turning a blind eye to what is wrong, but it is showing that you see the man behind the facade and like him, not only for what he does, but also for who he is. When a man feels this, a deep desire to stay is born within him. He no longer needs to pretend, he doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need to fight to be recognized. With you, he finds peace. And when a man finds true peace, he hardly ever gives it up. Think about how many men you've seen end relationships without explanation. Most of the time, it's not a lack of love, it's because, next to that person, he didn't feel truly accepted. It was as if he was always being tested, judged, and evaluated. And no one can stand living like that for long. Now compare that to couples who stay together for decades. Ask these men why they stay with the same woman after so many years. And the answer is almost always, because with her, I can be myself. And that's the second reason why men fall in love. It's not because of looks or perfection or the absence of flaws. It's because of acceptance. When you show that you see not only his good side, but also his fragile side, and still choose to be by his side, his heart surrenders. This is the most powerful reason of all. Because feeling accepted is, for a man, the certainty that he has found a place where he can rest, love without fear, and be whole. And when a man discovers this place, he never wants to leave. In the next section, we will look at stories and examples that show how this acceptance appears in everyday life, and why it completely transforms a relationship. To better understand this second reason, acceptance, let's look at some practical examples. Imagine a man who has always been pressured by his family to be perfect. He grew up hearing that he had to be the best in school, the strongest in sports, the most responsible at home. Over time, this became a suit of armor. He learned to hide his flaws, not to show fear, and to always appear in control. But inside, he carried insecurities that no one saw. One day, he meets a woman who doesn't demand the strong version of him all the time. On the contrary, she likes to hear about his fears, his doubts, and his weaknesses. When he makes a mistake, she doesn't humiliate him. She encourages him to learn. And when he talks about a dream, even if it seems distant, she doesn't judge him, but supports him. At that moment, he feels something new. He can be himself, and that's when love blossoms. Another example, a man who has ended several relationships because he always felt pressured. With one partner, nothing he did was enough. If he gave a gift, it seemed inadequate. If he complimented her, it sounded fake. If he worked hard, he was still criticized. This kind of environment suffocates anyone, but even more so a man who carries the burden of always having to prove something. When he finds a woman who simply accepts him, who values who he already is, who recognizes his efforts and who doesn't put him in a never-ending race of expectations, he discovers a new meaning for love. And the connection that arises from this is very strong, because he feels that he has finally found someone who doesn't try to mold him, but who chooses him for who he is. These stories show that male love is, at its core, simpler than it seems. Men don't fall in love for dozens of reasons or because of huge lists of qualities. They fall in love for only two reasons: when they feel like heroes, recognized, valued, and important, and when they feel accepted, free to be themselves, without masks. These two forces together are unbeatable. When a man experiences both at the same time, it's as if he has found a place where he can rest, fight, and love without fear. That's why so many men say, she's different from all the others. Not because she's perfect, but because she managed to touch his heart in these two ways. Now think about the impact this has on your life. How many times have you tried to understand what was going on in a man's head? How many times have you asked yourself, what did I do wrong? Perhaps the answer was never in doing more or less, but in understanding these two reasons. If you've understood this far, you've already realized that it's not about manipulation, games, or pretending to be something you're not. It's about authenticity. It's about being yourself, but knowing what points touch the male soul most deeply. And to close, I leave you with a thought. Love is not about collecting people, but about building real bonds. And when you understand why a man falls in love, you not only understand his heart, but you also learn to value your own. So, the next time you wonder if he's in love, remember, he'll only be feeling like a hero. He'll only be feeling accepted. If these two conditions are present, you can be sure his heart is already yours. If this video has opened your mind, leave your like and share it with someone who also needs to understand how the male mind works. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because here, in each video, you discover truths that almost no one tells you about psychology and relationships.